Welcome to Retro Logic. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins. And this week we've got our very special guest, Andrew, host of the Nintendo Pals podcast, with us to talk about just all kinds of stuff. We've got some new segments. We've got Sonic Mega Collection. We've got Goldeneye for the Wii. We've got Turrican. Just as much stuff as you're thinking there's even more than that much stuff. I'm going to stop talking now. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm
good.
Just
Lots
enjoying life.
Lots of energy, lots of good vibes going on all around. What is the deal, Andrew? How have you been? How is the podcast going? What's it called, and where can we listen to it?
Yeah, so I co-host a podcast with a good buddy of mine. We do the Nintendo Pals podcast. It can be found on pretty much every podcasting platform. And if it's not found on the one you like, let me know. I'll put it there. It's out on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We do it on Anchor. So it's hosted out there. Spotify. I think we're on Pandora. And so we're out there. We do Nintendo-based content, lots of conversations, talk about what we're playing, talk about news, and like to answer philosophical Nintendo questions.
Give me an example of a philosophical Nintendo question.
Let's see. If so, like, what deity do you follow? Do you go more of a do you worship more Ganon, or do you go with like the goddess of light? Or no, I'm just kidding. We don't talk religion on the cast. Maybe we should Hyrule religions of Hyrule.
Yeah, hey, sure.
That might be more interesting than what we actually talk about. Though we do everything. We've done stuff from like top 10 music lists, and questions about upcoming Switch games, what our preferences are for like what the best Switch games are. So yeah, we just kind of go all over the place. Nintendo has a lot of stuff.
So awesome. Well, okay, and John, what's going on with you, man? Anything new?
Other than like 20 pounds of candy from Halloween, like my kids went crazy. I think we walked like 3 miles and through the neighborhood, and I was really shocked at how many people were participating this year with COVID. You know, I was kind of we took the kids out and kind of told them, hey, you know, we might hit the few houses that are actually keeping their lights on, and lo and behold, it seemed like the whole neighborhood was handing out candy this time, so I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, my neighborhood was like that too. Everybody was either they had a bucket out, or they were like outside in lawn chairs giving out candy, you know, so there wasn't a lot of like indoor interaction. But it seemed like people are kind of going all out with the holidays this year as probably like a means of escapism, I would imagine, but you know, I mean, if it gets people into the spirit, I can't wait to see what some people come up with for Christmas decorations now that we're all at home all the time now. That's going to be epic.
Homemade ones, you know, lots of hot glue.
Yeah.
Garland.
Maybe
maybe
not so epic then. I don't know.
They grind it all up, throw it in like a potato gun, and they just like shoot it all over their house.
That's what's up. That's awesome. Well, you know what? Let's get just a little bit of housekeeping here before we jump right into the show. We've got some new segments coming up. Ayo. New segments. New segments. Did y'all hear that they're gonna remake Tiny Toon Adventures?
I have not.
I hadn't heard that.
I just heard that. Yeah, just heard that. They're gonna do I don't know if they're like remaking it all or what they're doing, but I just heard some rumblings of it. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. That is what I was singing. So we're going to move on to what I was actually talking about, which is the new segments. And the first one is called Crossplay. This was John's idea. This one is monthly. John and I are going to challenge each other to play a game that we've never played before, and one that the other one has. So, like, for instance, I'm going to challenge John to play Rygar on the NES because he never has, and I love it. and then we're going to come together and like he's going to tell me what he thought, and I'm going to be like, well, here's why you're wrong, yada yada. It's going to be a great time. We're going to switch back and forth on that, and you could play along with us and track our progress on Twitter. So that's super fun. That's good times. We're not doing that one today, though. We're going to start that one at another date. Today, we're going to be doing our other new segment, which I'm very excited about, and I hope the other guys are also excited. They seem excited. They're frothing at the mouth as I speak. Very much. It's called The Price is Retro. We think we're going to keep that name. I like it. It's a play off of The Price is Right. Anyway, what we do is we put together. Well, it has Andrew's seal of approval, so I guess.
Yeah, you're good. You're solid.
We each put together a list of retro games, and we have calculated their values on pricecharting.com. We use that as our Bible. And the other two have to guess the collective value of those games in a limited amount of time. So there's no cheating, no looking it up. This is the honor system here. And whoever is the closest to that price wins a fabulous prize. And we're going to play it right now because we all just happen to have on us a list of games, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Andrew, you're going to... Let me pull mine up real quick. You're going to list your games and their condition, right? And you're just going to list them off. John and I are going to listen very carefully, and in our heads, we're going to magically calculate exactly how much the total lot is worth. Everybody got it?
Sounds good.
Good. So, Andrew, when you're ready, go.
Alrighty, so I themed my bundle. I thought, you know what game series I didn't get to play the whole series of because I didn't have 10 consoles? Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Let's go with...
Damn it.
Let's go with Kingdom Hearts 1 in good condition for the PlayStation 2. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, also in good condition for the Game Boy Advance. Kingdom Hearts 2 for the PlayStation 2, also in good condition. And we've got two more. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that title.
What a name. Who the hell knows how to pronounce that title? Is that the DS one?
Yeah, for the Nintendo DS.
All right.
In good condition, and Kingdom Hearts Recoded, also for the Nintendo DS.
What are these games? I don't even...
That is the bundle, and hope you had, 3 different systems to play this series on. Or you could just have a PS4. Lord. I think they did a big bundle later.
They're all in one package.
Yeah.
Wow. Just wow.
Price of console not included in my package, by the way. That would skyrocket my price.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, you chose a franchise that I haven't played. I think I played a little bit of the first one and just got so lost and was like, the platforming is bad. I want Mario back. That's all. That's what I said. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for that, but you know what? It's my opinion. I've got my number. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, I think I've got something in my head. I'll let you shoot first.
Okay. I'm just going to go for an even $70. $70 value of the lot. Go ahead, John.
I'm going to say 135.
Dang, you're like double me.
All
right,
the total value I came up with was $43.87.
Dan wins.
I'm glad that you guys value this series so much more than the rest of the world.
Well, and so the reason I went lower than John, I don't know where John got those numbers, is that I was just looking at the value of Kingdom Hearts because I was looking at a lot earlier on Mercari or something, and I was like, oh, Kingdom Hearts, I bet those games are valuable. No, the PlayStation 2 games are not worth anything. They're like $10 was like a high bid. So I just like estimated like 10 to 20 bucks per game. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I thought that was so funny when you said like $43.
Yeah, I was kind of going off of the...
Were you surprised?
I was surprised when I put the list together. I was like, this series is so big. I'm surprised there's not a lot of value retained for the older games.
Yeah, I was kind of really thinking the Game Boy Advance one would have been more expensive than that, but
that one is the most expensive one on the list.
Yeah, I figured it'd been more than $15, you know.
Dang. All right, so give us the price of each game real quick. Do you have that?
Yeah, I've got like so Kingdom Hearts goes from between $5 to $10. Chain of Memories goes from $9 to, I didn't get the top end of that. That's on the low.
That's fine.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is $6 to $8. 358 over 2 is 10 to 15, and Kingdom Hearts Recoded is 11 to 16. So each of them, the Nintendo ones, surprisingly, are more valuable than the mainline games in the series.
Oh, I just proved that I know absolutely nothing about Kingdom Hearts, and I would not claim to.
Me neither. This is not the podcast to listen to if you are into Kingdom Hearts. I'm telling you right now.
I personally only played Chain of Memories. I really enjoyed it as a kid. I guess it's just because of the like wackiness of the style, and that game is very different than the rest of it. It uses a card system for its fighting and stuff.
Oh,
instead of
I might actually like that.
It was weird. It's like a real-time card game. I don't know how else to describe it.
Very cool.
They have.
Well, Andrew, thank you for that. Yeah.
I think what brings the price down is that they have re-released most of these on the PS4 in like a big bundle.
Right. So maybe they came down recently.
Yeah.
That could be it too, yes. And Dan, what did you say what was your guess again?
70.
70. Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
I'm going to try to
kind of estimated.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just
going to say I estimated 10 to 20 games per console, so I don't whatever. 10, what am I saying? $10 to $20 per game. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep just like a quick not necessarily a score, but a dollar amount of how far off we were from the guess. So right now I was $90 off on my guess, and you were $27 off on your guess. So whenever we should each have two totals by the end, and we'll see who has the lower number to kind of make it fun, kind of making the rolls up as we go.
Hey, there you go. We're making it more fun than we thought it would be. All right. I guess I'll go next.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, so I themed my list around they're all Game Boy Advance games, right? Because I just feel like the Game Boy Advance, the prices of those are very interesting. So I'll just say that. Okay, so I also kind of mixed up the condition thing a little bit, so y'all are going to have to think real hard. So the first game is Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance, complete in box. So complete in box, cardboard box, manual, Donkey Kong Country 2. Second game is Metroid Zero Mission, cartridge only. Third game is Golden Sun, cartridge only. Fourth game is Pokemon Ruby, cartridge only. And the final game is Gunstar Superheroes, complete in box. And that is it. Da 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 da.
All right.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
I am gonna be so bad at this game. My guess is going to be a guess. It's going to be a pure guess.
You should have been counting along, man.
I don't know.
You gotta keep your fingers going. You know, that's worth this much. That's worth that much.
So just to help out a little bit, why don't you repeat the list one more time? Like you could do it quicker than you did last time, but just
one more time. Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance, complete in box. Metroid Zero Mission, cartridge only. Golden Sun, cartridge only. Pokemon Ruby, cartridge only. Gunstar Superheroes, complete in box.
And that last was the wild card because I have no idea the value of that game.
Last one's the wild card. Andrew, are you ready with the number?
Maybe I should go second.
Okay.
So, I'll go first. That's fine. Just based on the wild card, I have like a good number for the first four. So I'm gonna say 225.
225. Okay.
Okay. My gut was to say 115. I'm going to bump it up. I'm gonna say 160.
Okay, the price for the lot is $192.17, giving John the win. That's about a $30 difference there, John.
All right, so I'll do
Gunstar. Yeah.
Yep, I'll do my math really quick. So I'm done since I've guessed twice, and I'm at 120.
The boxed. Yeah. The boxed Game Boy Advance games they're $50 a piece. I mean, boxed Game Boy Advance games are in the money right now.
Yeah.
Metroid Zero Mission was $36. Golden Sun was $19.56, $20, and Ruby was about $34.
Wow, $34 for Ruby?
Oh yeah. It's up there now.
I didn't realize.
Yep.
I have two of those.
Just in general,
I need to sell mine.
So what'd you guess again, Andrew?
I guess 160.
160. Okay. So he was 30 off also, right?
Yeah, but you were. Oh wait.
I think we were exactly like we were 30 off from both directions.
Okay, then we got to go down to dollars and cents because there can't be a tie.
Well, no, we're gonna we'll have two numbers to add together, and whoever has the lowest out of the three of us will be the winner, which is looking a lot more like one of you guys since I blew that first one out.
Yeah, I was saying.
Did you get the exact number from me, John?
I'm doing some rounding because it's not. I don't think it's going to be that close. So right now I'm completely done because I've already guessed twice, and I'm at $120 off of the total values. Dan is at $27 off, and Andrew is at $30. So I'm trying to round within the dollar. I'm not doing cents. So I'll give you guys my list, and we'll see how close.
Well, unless one of us, is like super off, I don't see how you're gonna win this, John. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm out. But you guys can have fun with it. So,
all right, okay. Let's do this, Andrew.
So my list is a little bit of just picking from everything. I kind of looked at my wall and looked at a few different things to pull some things in. So game number 1 is Battletoads for the NES, loose. Game number 2 is Gauntlet Dark Legacy on the GameCube, loose. Game number 3,
loose.
Donkey Kong. Loose. I mean, I went off. All these are loose on mine. I try to keep that part of it the same.
That's fine. That's fine.
Sorry. Game number 3 is Donkey Kong for the Atari 2600, loose. Game number 4, Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, loose. Game number 5, Final Fantasy V for the GBA, also loose.
Man, I don't know the value of Atari games at all. And Donkey Kong
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint about Atari. Trash. They are barely worth the plastic they were printed on.
Okay, that's good to know. Maybe Donkey Kong has a little bit more than that, but probably not.
Yeah.
It's available on so many things as well.
All right.
And I can repeat as needed. So
Yeah, could you give me the list again? I missed the. I've already.
Go ahead and run
the first
through
two.
them.
okay, so Battletoads
Do
on
your
the
fingers,
NES.
dude.
Also, I'll reconfirm this. All these are loose, so you don't have to think about that part of it. So just the games.
Okay.
Battletoads NES, Gauntlet Dark Legacy for the GameCube, Donkey Kong for the Atari 2600, Sonic Adventure for Dreamcast, and Final Fantasy V on the Game Boy Advance.
I've got my number.
Okay, I'll give it my guess. I am going to guess $89.
Alrighty. How about you, Dan?
Andrew, you freaking jerk. My guess was 90.
Okay, you guys are less than $3 off, so there's going to be a winner.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm saying
What?
no, I'm saying your guesses are less than $3 off. Your guys' total guesses are a little ways off. The total was $148. So
Wow.
just to do some quickness here.
$148?
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
guys
tell me
were
what they are, dude. I was way off.
okay. So Battletoads Loose is about $22 right now on the NES.
Okay.
Gauntlet Dark Legacy for GameCube is $55 right now. That's loose.
Ah, leash.
That's without the
That was
box.
my guess for a boxed version. How
Yeah,
much
no,
does
if you
box go for? Shoot.
Probably about $70 right now.
GameCube,
Donkey
man,
Golly,
it's,
all right.
it's
Yeah, you got to charge that
Seriously.
GameCube COVID tax, man. You forgot to add that on. Donkey Kong for the Atari 2600 Loose is a premium $6.19.
I literally didn't even count that in my guess. I was like, it's probably 50 cents. Who cares?
I thought I'd throw a funny one in there that you guys would get a kick out of. Sonic Adventure
good.
for the Dreamcast is $25 loose.
See, I thought that one would go for a little bit more.
And then this is the one, Final Fantasy V for the Game Boy Advance is $40.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, I was way off on that one.
So, okay,
Yeah.
you guys, so Andrew guessed,
Because the PlayStation Final Fantasy games are like $5 a pop. It's so weird. Game Boy Advance, man. Sorry, go ahead.
Discs.
I was
Discs
gonna,
have no
gonna
value.
say,
Yeah.
Andrew guessed 87, right?
89.
89, sorry. 89. So you're at, hold on a sec. So Andrew is a grand total of $86 off of the total price of both guesses. And Dan is, let me do the quick math really quick. You guessed 90, correct?
Da-da-da-da. Yes. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Dan is the winner by $2. He guessed $85
Yeah, buddy.
off of the total price. So
That is hilarious.
Well, you don't want to guess to win the first show, you know. I didn't want to take it, so I kind of threw the last round,
Yeah.
obviously.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
You
Just
purposefully
kidding.
were $2 off. I got you. You're just such a you're such a prodigy.
those Kingdom Hearts games,
the
man.
guessing.
I'm telling you. So yeah, so
That's
to
crazy.
recap,
Well,
I
that
was
was fun,
120, Dan 85, Andrew 87. So yeah, there you go. That's first Price's retro game.
The fact that I was even close to Dan's score makes me feel like I'm incredibly lucky because those were guesses. I don't know value of games.
That's awesome.
You should be collecting games, man.
Dark Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's going up, man.
you'd be good at pricing out lots. It is. It always is. Man, well, that was fun. We're gonna make some adjustments to that because I think that was like a 15-minute segment. But I mean, whatever. We're just flexible here. We're gonna make things work. as best we can. Now we're going to jump into this week in gaming history. And just a couple of games this week. We're making a change to how we do this. We're going to stick a lot closer to the day that we're recording, which is a Monday night. So November 2nd, we're sticking to November 2nd with this week's gaming in history. And the first one is Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PlayStation 2. 16 years old today, November 2nd, 2004. That was right before. I guess that was a couple years before the whole Wii, PS3, 360 generation kicked off.
Yes. Now, do you know if this game was also a GameCube game? Was it one of the ones that was on all three?
Yes, I have it. But this is right. So the Plus version is what I'm confused about.
Yeah,
here.
that's what I was confused about too. I don't know if it was something where they had an additional game added to it. Maybe it was re-released.
They've released so many Sonic collections that I don't know.
Well, the thing that I didn't have a PS2, I wasn't sure.
The thing that's special about Sonic Mega Collection is that it's the last time that Sega has released Sonic the Hedgehog 3 or Sonic and Knuckles digitally. They did. Since then, every Sega Genesis collection, every Sonic collection, they have Sonic 1, they have Sonic 2, Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D Blast, no 3, no Knuckles. Why? Why the heck?
I mean, I didn't grow up on Sonic, didn't play a ton of those, but isn't 3 like widely considered one of the better ones in the series?
Yeah, it is.
I believe 2 is probably considered the best, but 3 was very welcome, and Sonic and Knuckles was also a pretty popular for the time.
Surprise.
Okay, so Sonic Mega Collection Plus has 6 Game Gear games. In addition to... Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's it. Yeah. Which is cool. I like Game Gear. I like the Game Gear Sonic games. But the best way to play these games is to get a GameCube and get Sonic Mega Collection and get the Hori Pad, which is a controller that looks like a Super Nintendo controller, but it has a GameCube plug. That is the way to play these games. Totes. Now, good luck finding one, but that's the way to do it.
Yeah, the Hori GameCube pad's probably more expensive than the whole collection.
Yeah, exactly. I had one back in the day, but that's that's a tale as old as time. Moving on to the next game we've got, which is John was just showing off his complete in-box copy. Goldeneye 007 for the Wii, 10 years old today, November 2nd, 2010. Now, John, this is the game, a remake of the game Goldeneye for the N64, except instead of Pierce Brosnan, we've got Daniel Craig as Bond. Is that correct?
Correct. And I believe it's the first time you could play Goldeneye with 2 control sticks.
Wait, they switched to the Craig character?
Yep.
For the remake?
Yeah.
Why? What?
Something to do with the rights to that specific Bond.
It's a licensing deal.
Right. So they can't have Pierce Brosnan's likeness in there since he's not Bond anymore or whatever.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy licensing things with 007. Even the movies suffer from it a lot of times.
Yeah.
For different things. And I guess really you could play this if you're just like savage and you want to play the original Goldeneye with 2 N64 controllers. I guess you could technically play it with 2 sticks. But I don't know anybody that actually did that.
So I've actually never played this game, John. Have you played it?
Oh, yeah. I will say graphically, looks good. Even on the Wii's 480. Big major improvements over the 64, obviously. It just never did have the same feel I don't know how to describe it. Playing it, it seems to flow differently. And it might be that I'm so used to playing the 10 frames a second on the 64 that, whenever this thing runs so smooth, I just never could readjust. It just didn't feel the same. It didn't have that same magic that the GoldenEye on N64 did.
So how close to it is the original, like map layout and story and all that?
Oh, it's pretty much the same game. It's just
really,
yep, remade from the ground up. Still has the facility and the bunker and the
Andrew,
Moonraker
did you play
level.
this game?
I don't think I have played this one. I definitely didn't own it, but yeah, I played the original quite a bit, and
yeah,
I have noticed that on a lot of these ground up graphical remakes, something just isn't quite the same. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't. Like they did the new like Spyro Reignited. Even played a little bit of the Crash, the remake, the Insane trilogy stuff.
Yeah.
And it just isn't quite the same. Like it looks better, but maybe that doesn't actually help.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those it feels like it lost the magic that it had, when you originally played it. And I just remember like playing that game and having like the explosive weapon set on, and like that game would just choke out. Like you'd be down to like 3 or 4 frames a second with all the rockets and mines and everything going. You couldn't even hardly play it,
Right.
So I don't know. It holds up good. I've played it somewhat recently, probably within the last 5 years. And I bought it day one when it re-released for the Wii, hoping to find that same, GoldenEye that I played hours and, who knows how many hours as a kid.
Did you play multiplayer?
Yeah. Yeah, I played with some friends, multiplayer. Tried to see if my son enjoyed it, because he didn't have the nostalgia for the original game, so maybe it played fine for him. Yeah, he's more Halo, but I don't know, it's the same control system to him. It just feels different, Feels different to me. Can't explain it.
Yeah, I get that. Awesome. Well, you know what? That's it for this week in gaming history. We're going to jump into a little bit of news now, which is not a ton going on, but here we are. Either of you ever play the Turrican games? Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis?
Actually, I have not played Turrican. It's one of those games that I know it's a big deal, so eventually I want to get a hold of a copy of it, but I haven't played it.
This game is a big deal. And the reason we're talking about it is because Turrican Flashback is on its way to the Nintendo Switch and PS4 on December 8th for a price tag of $29.99. And that includes Turrican, Turrican 2, Mega Turrican, and Super Turrican. And Turrican, let me tell you a little bit about Turrican. Turrican is amazing. It is like one part Mega Man shooting, just shooting, puzzle solving. One part like Contra with crazy weapons and blasting and everything. And then there's a little bit of side-scrolling shoot 'em up going on, like Gradius style, in a spaceship. So it's just kind of like a combination of a bunch of stuff. It's mostly run and gun, but the levels change up quite a bit, and it is so fun. I mean, you can like combine weapon types and make new weapons, and it is a blast. So I highly recommend it if you haven't played it before. I don't know what the cartridges go for, but for $30 you get 4 games. It's not a bad deal, especially if you've never experienced them. They are really fun.
Yeah, this might be one I have to look into. I have never heard of this game before, and I was looking at pictures of it and your description. This looks like a game I'd enjoy a lot. I don't know how I missed it.
if you're a fan of Contra or Gunstar Heroes, or really any like run and gun type game, this is right up your alley, definitely.
Isn't this one of those games that's when it originally released did not meet like a grand reception and didn't sell particularly well, and like kind of got a cult following later? That's what I'm thinking, because I mean this game. And are these all Super Nintendo games and Sega? Is that what you said?
No. Turrican and Turrican 2. Oh man, I think they're Famicom games.
Okay, so they were like 8-bit generation.
I don't think. Yeah, and then Mega Turrican was Sega Genesis because of the Mega, and Super Turrican, Super Nintendo. Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would have not been the target audience for these games on NES or Super NES. I didn't really get into run and gun until way later.
Yeah. But anyway, if that's your jam, I think I'll be picking this one up. This is definitely my jam.
Sounds like
our next piece of news is interesting. What's up, Andrew?
Oh, sorry. I think that was me. I said it looks like it's a good pack to pick up and a good price.
Yeah, it's not bad. Hopefully they'll come up with a cartridge for, because I'd like physical. So our next piece of news, we've got a new Game Boy game coming out. It's called Dragonborn. It is releasing in January and is developed in the UK by Spacebot Interactive. Don't know who that is, but it's an RPG. It looks like Dragon Warrior. It looks like a souped up Dragon Warrior. It's about 6 to 7 hours long, and for $15 you can get the ROM, or for about $54 you get a really, really nice physical box that looks like an original Game Boy game. You get a cartridge that works in a Game Boy. You get an instruction manual. And it looks really, really cool. I bring this up because Game Boy is awesome, and the game actually looks really good. I'll probably pick up the ROM if I end up getting it. Because that's just what I'm gonna do. But what do y'all think about this?
It looked fantastic.
It's interesting that they are doing like a physical cartridge for the Game Boy. Is it sanctioned by Nintendo, or are they giving their own complete deal? This has become like a popular thing recently. I was on Kickstarter, kind of browsing. I browse games there every once in a while, and same thing had been done with an NES cart for a game. It's been a while. I don't remember the name of the game or anything like that. But was
it a limited run game?
Yeah, not by a limited run, but like just a small company that's like, we have a game we want to make for the NES, and we're gonna make our own cartridges. So here's this Kickstarter to do that, and it's just interesting to see that there's a market for that, and that's cool to me that companies can do this, like make their own classic carts. Like that's a really cool thing that our tech has gotten to that point that indie developer at home, can make a Game Boy game. Like that's just cool.
Right. And there was a game that we talked about. No, I didn't watch the video.
Oh man, the sprite work and the just the gameplay.
Oh yeah,
looks
the screenshots
awesome.
look really, really good. Yeah.
Like this is not something that would have originally. Yeah, it's not something that would originally release on the Game Boy. This is somebody has really like pushed the hardware to the max, developing this thing. It looks crazy. Like it looks better than something you'd see on the NES. Probably the artwork does.
Yeah, the places that we can push the tech now, as well. Like, I mean, because this is hardware that was like left when they stopped selling the consoles, and that doesn't necessarily mean the innovation needs to stop. Like you could still find ways to make the most of the system, and tech grows. Like you could do stuff with the cart, like Nintendo did with like adding batteries to their carts, and and that makes the system more. So there's so much that you could still do to like pull from, and I think those constraints make cool games. Honestly,
yeah, and there's a lot of neat like indie games today that they'll look like they're a NES game or a Super Nintendo game, but in reality would not run on the original hardware. So when I first saw this and saw the ROM running and heard that it was a ROM, I was thinking this was in the same vein. Somebody developed a game, looks like Game Boy, it's monochrome, they're doing all the same things as what a normal Game Boy game would look like, but running on a emulator of sorts. And then I heard that they're actually reproducing cartridges for their own game that play on the Game Boy. And that's whenever I was like, man, this is crazy. Like when I'm looking at it and watching it play, that this is playing on a Game Boy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we talked a few episodes ago about an NES game that somebody's making that's like kind of like a Smash Brothers like fighting game. And they're making a cartridge for it. And the cartridge has a Wi-Fi card, so you can connect to the internet with your NES and play online. That's the kind of stuff you're talking about, Andrew, where it's like pushing the tech of retro games into the future. Boggles the mind what they're going to do with it. It is too cool. Well, we're going to take a super fast break right here, and we will be right back to chat about what we've been playing. We've got a community question and some more fun stuff. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little break as much as I did. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to chat a little bit about what we bought, what we played, yada yada. And we're going to let Andrew go first because after all, he is our guest. So Andrew, it doesn't have to be retro. You can talk about if you bought something for Switch or PlayStation 5 or whatever. Go ahead and chat it up. What did you buy this week?
So I've been kind of a cheapskate this week. I have had a lot to play and hadn't needed to buy anything new in particular. But I did download some updates / free stuff. The Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity demo dropped. I downloaded that and played that. That's my first experience with a Warriors game. And not sure how I feel about it, honestly. Like, it felt very button mashy, but that was my first playthrough. I played again with my kiddo because I learned after that it had 2-player, which was just sitting right there in front of my face. I just didn't think I didn't look at the menus enough, I guess. Played that the second time and got the hang of the combos, which made it a little bit more fun and less button mashy. I don't know. I'm gonna try it again a third time on the harder difficulty and see if maybe that does it for me, pushes me over the fence. I love how it looks.
when I tell people about this game, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty colors and mashing buttons. That's what it is. So if you like to look at pretty things while doing this over and over again with your buttons, this is the game for you. Now, and you could totally play the whole game and button mash your way through it, but I'm like you, Andrew. I love pulling off a really good combo, so I just keep like trying different combos with different enemies, and they really give you a lot of leeway with that, which I appreciate. So I'm hyped for it. I'm super hyped for it. Yeah,
I'm hyped for all the cutscenes, especially because what they've shown so far in the demo is very good. It looks like it's going to be a good game. So that's Hyrule Warriors for me. I also downloaded the full version 1.0 for Risk of Rain 2 and played that. They added a boss and basically a story to the game and a new character that you can unlock from beating the boss. That game is an indie indie title developed by just a few guys. I don't know if you guys know much about Risk of Rain. It's a roguelike.
Not really. It looks interesting.
It's a fun
I know
one.
a little bit about it.
I recommend it. I played the first one, got it on Steam for like $5 or something like that. And the first one's a 2D run and gun platformer with different characters that you can play as that all have different abilities. But the peak of the game is that you get to collect power-ups, and those power-ups can stack, and they stack in just crazy ways. So, for example, you can get a gas can item that will make it so your enemies explode on hit, or like a goat hoof, which gives your character more speed, movement speed. And if you get 10 of those goat hoofs, you're going like 10 times faster than your starting speed. And at that point, you're just like zipping around. Risk of Rain 2 is the exact same game, but it's a 3D platformer. Like, I'm not going to say exact same. It has a lot of the same power-ups, a lot of the same characters. And it's just the game translated to 3D, and it works so well. I really liked the game. I got it in early access and played through all of its updates as it came out. Yeah, it's fun. If you like a multiplayer co-op, like alien wave shooting game, like they just keep coming and you guys work together to beat them up. Like this is peak of that game style for me.
That sounds great.
It also goes on sale quite a bit for the Switch. I think I've seen the 2-pack that comes with both games hit like at least $15 or $20 quite often.
Yeah, it's worth picking up, especially on a sale. And it definitely, if you have someone else that picks it up and you can play with them, it's fun solo, like fun as heck solo. But like it's, I personally enjoy the multiplayer aspect of it more. It's hard. And then you just it gets from I like with a lot of these roguelike games where the difficulty curve is just crazy, but then when you like get these really lucky builds, you're just like a god. Like, and everything just explodes. Like you get to a point in this game where like you start up a level and I ran past someone. I have active items that are going off and they trigger with other items that are going off, and all of a sudden everything's on fire. And enemies are and I'm just like, I don't even need to play anymore. I just walk through.
Oh man, I love that. That's great. Yeah, that actually sounds like something I'd be interested in. So I'll have to check that out.
And then I guess my last one I'll hit up on is playing Pokemon Leaf Green. My first time playing through the first generation of Pokemon, other than like the first little bit. I've started this game before. I made it to Brock and then put it down. But now I've got more motivation over on the Nintendo Dads podcast. They're doing that for their retro game. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I love Pokemon as a series. I started on the second generation, so I missed the first one. And want to be a true fan and play it.
You want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Yes.
Catch them all.
Awesome. Well, I really hope you enjoy Pokemon. It's definitely it was a game of its time, but I think that it's enjoyable by Pokemon game fans who are just really looking for the origin of the series, especially if you're doing one of the remakes. Those are top notch.
I'm also doing a Nuzlocke, my first time doing one of those. So trying that out, which is where you impose the extra rules of you can only catch the first Pokemon encounter in each area is you have to catch and keep, and if they get knocked out, you release them. Permadeath.
Wow. I've never done that
scary,
before.
which was scary because I chose Charmander, and the first gym leader is Brock. I don't know what I was thinking.
Eee.
I was stubborn. I was like, I like Charmander. I don't care.
Well, you were thinking late game. Charizard's the best in late game, so.
Oh yeah.
Gotta get that fire blast. Yeah, heck yeah. Awesome. All right, John. Nothing? You didn't buy anything this week? Nada?
I didn't really buy anything of interest this week. I think I bought. Dang it! What's that? I bought Blood Roots on Switch. Been playing that a little bit. I didn't really buy anything retro this week, which is kind of different. I took a break, I guess. And as far as what I've been playing, I've also been playing Pokemon Leaf Green for the same reason, for the Retro Rewind on Nintendo Dads. And I was also challenged by the mole to do a Nuzlocke for mine as well, so I've been playing with the same rule set. I have made it to the second gym, and I think I have like 3 Pokemon left. I just keep... I forget how hard it is. Like, the poison in Mount Moon is deadly. Like,
oh man, I forgot how bad poison was until I played this game. They have seriously babied the new games. You don't die from poison anymore.
Yeah, big time. That's why I don't like them as much. Well, and Zubat also is just an annoying jerk.
So yeah, making it through that cave, I think I lost 3 Pokemon just in that cave. I had to hit that new area and try to catch something new just to have another Pokemon on my team. So I think right now I just have Bulbasaur, Pidgey, and a Geodude that I picked up inside. It was the first... I was glad. It was the one I wanted out of the cave. I was like, I'm going to get the stupid Paris or whatever, the little bug, as my first Pokemon. But no, I got Geodude.
Paris.
I got lucky. Or Paris, yeah, whatever it is. I'm going to be the Marty of this show and pronounce all the Pokemon names wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll correct you. I'll be the Jesse.
And so yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing with the new rule set, and I'm glad I chose Leaf Green just because it has the run button. Like, you can actually run in the game. You get the running shoes. Which
Wait, they didn't have
makes
running shoes in the first one?
No. If you play the original 3 games,
the bike.
Yeah, and you didn't get the bike until halfway through the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had to walk it. You know, the original speed they give you, that's the speed you got in Gen 1, like red and blue.
I could not wait to get those running shoes, man. I was like, when do you get these? Do I have to go back and talk to him or something?
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, and I've also been playing, still playing Mario 3D All-Stars, still doing my little playing. I think I talked about it earlier on the podcast. I've been playing Mario 64, and I'm going through each individual world, each painting, and doing it star by star in order until I finish. And I think I just completed World 10, the Snowland, the second Snowland. I just completed it today, and I'm about to move on to the next area. So I've got 5 more left to go through.
Awesome. I love that game.
Just taking my time.
Good. Well, I bought a couple non-retro things. I got Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Busting through that game. I love Pikmin. I just love Pikmin. It's everything I love about real-time strategy in a Nintendo package, and I love it. It will always be one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. And I really freaking hope they make a 4, for the love of God. Can we please have Pikmin 4? I need it. I need it for my body.
Hey, Pikmin.
Get
No.
Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Hey, that was a good
like-
game.
I also
That's like saying
Yeah,
Happy
that
Home
was fine.
Designer was a sequel to Animal Crossing.
get out of here. I also pre-ordered Immortals Phoenix Rising. That game looks amazing. I'm hyped for it, but those aren't retro, so I'm going to move on. So I had one of my good friends over who is obsessed with Sega Genesis. He grew up on the Genesis, and we went through some 2-player Sega Genesis classics. We did Altered Beast, which I don't know if either of you have played Altered Beast. Have you guys played Altered Beast?
I have not.
I've played Altered Beast to
No,
completion in arcade.
Oh, well, God bless you. The Sega Genesis version of Altered Beast, because I haven't played the arcade version, so I'll be very specific, is not good. No, it's not. The sprites are very big, but they're not big and like pretty like a Donkey Kong Country. They're big and ugly and like real weird. And like the whole like full screen transformation into the beast is weird, and just the enemies are weird. It's just a weird experience. It's a good game to play on Halloween because it's all creepos and like monsters and stuff. But just, it was really fun to laugh at. Like we had some hilarious moments in that game. So, yeah, Altered Beast was my first time actually playing it seriously. So that's a thing. Then we jumped into Road Rash 2, which is awesome. Road Rash 2 is Rad Racer with weapons. So obviously it's like one of the best Sega Genesis games ever. And that game... what else do you say? I'm surprised at how like in depth it was. Like you could buy different motorcycles and you could like upgrade them. It was like like racing, fighting RPG almost. So that was really fun. And then we took that out.
We need more variety in the racing genre, like it used to. I feel like retro car games have a lot more variety beyond the we can race that you get from modern series on modern systems. Like the most crazy we get is Mario Kart, which is still just racing. I mean, it has items, but it's not as, I don't know. Sorry to interrupt.
And you have two separate spectrums. You have like, these are the realistic racing games and these are the kart racers, and they're all the same in their vein,
Yep.
So we need something like bring back Burnout. Bring it back.
Yeah, the arcade racers kind of died off. Like even the games that consider
arcades
themselves
kind of died off.
Yeah, I mean, even games that consider themselves arcade racers are more close to a more realistic racing than they used to be. I mean, there's no Cruising USA's out there anymore.
Let's get Hydro Thunder 2. Let's do that.
Yes.
How about that?
Is there a Hydro Thunder 2?
No, let's get it.
Yeah, let's make it.
Come on, Sega. I don't know who made that game, but come on. Oh,
Midway.
Oh, that's why we don't have a Hydro Thunder 2. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no Midway anymore.
It's a sore subject. No more Midway. And we played some Mario Tennis and experienced the first sightings of Waluigi. And I will leave that. I will let sleeping dogs lie there. Awesome. Well, let's jump into our community question part of the show, which we don't have any questions this week, but we're going to again highlight the Nintendo Pals podcast. You guys should go subscribe to them on your podcast app of choice. They're super fun to listen to, and just lots of fun. So what we're going to do for community questions this week is we're going to be ranking all of the console Legend of Zelda games. The mainline console Legend of Zelda games. I am not counting Four Swords Adventures as a mainline game. Sorry, fans of that game.
There goes my number one. I'm just kidding.
Oh no!
Just kidding.
That's funny. So we're gonna let Andrew go first. He's gonna run down his order, his top 9, and we're gonna see how it compares to John and I's. We're gonna have to fight over this first spot. So why don't we're probably gonna have to work backwards here, and we'll start with the worst and work our way up, and we'll save our top 3 for the end. How's that sit with everyone?
So are we gonna each give our 9? There's 9, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Let's start with you, and we'll see where we land after that. I don't quite know how this is going to work, so we're just going to kind of run with it.
Yeah. So I put for number 9, and this might be slightly controversial. I put Zelda 2. And the reason I put Zelda 2 at number 9, which I still think is a fantastic game. So if the thing about the entire series is that the worst game is still a really good game. Like, would rank above a lot of other games that released on that system.
Definitely.
Zelda 2 is very different in its formula and format. And honestly, I think if it got a little bit more time to bake for its US release, it would be higher on the list for me. But it has just straight up bugginess to it that makes it difficult to play as a newcomer.
Yeah, I agree.
Zelda 2 is also my number 9. John?
It's unanimous.
Well, all right.
All right.
Well, at least we all agree on 9. Yeah.
And I think Zelda
Hey,
2
we're making
also,
good progress.
I think it's a good game. I agree with a lot of the points you made. I think this game is a good candidate for a remake. There's a lot of good elements to this game, but it's really hard to go back and try to play it today if you're not, if you weren't playing it originally. Like my kids would play this for 2 minutes and put it down. There would be no doubt.
Yep. I think that would be fantastic to see like Link's Awakening love given to Zelda 2.
Definitely. I was telling somebody on Twitter actually, like, why don't we get a 2-pack Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2 remake, Switch remakes. 2-pack. Boom. Bang them out.
It's happening
because they're kind of short, right? Let's do it.
Yeah.
35th anniversary.
Let's do it. Yeah. All right, Andrew. What is your number 8?
Number 8 for me is, and this one hurts me a little bit to put this low, honestly, is a Skyward Sword. Now, Skyward Sword, I actually was not egregiously offended by the motion controls. Like, it's the Wii. I had a Wii Motion Plus. Let's get gimmicky. I loved the Wii, and I'm a sucker for the gimmicks that they pulled on that. But I really liked the story and the dungeons and everything about it. So the music, oh gosh, the music is so good in that game. It was leagues better than the previous entry. Well, I'm not going to say that because the previous entry was Twilight Princess, I believe. Mm-hmm. But it's the first one to use like a full orchestra, which good choice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually, that's also my number 8, but I will also say that it has some of my favorite Zelda dungeons.
They're
some
the
of
best,
my favorite
man.
ones, like, by far. Yeah, they're so good. They're so well made. And if not for just like a weirdly broken up and like fragmented overworld and a couple of weird boss battles, like that game would be like great, I mean, you say what you will about the motion controls. I think they implemented them pretty well considering.
Yep.
You could give or take them. But that's I'm with you on that being number 8, but it also being a really, really great experience.
So what dungeon were you thinking when you said it's like some of the best dungeons in this game? Just curious.
So my favorites in Twilight Princess. Now you're gonna make me think.
No.
So there was like the geared. Sorry, Skyward Sword. There was like the. Oh man, come on. There's the desert, the boat in the desert.
Yeah, that's
dungeon.
the one. Like it's like a pirate ship. That's the one that came to my mind first.
Yep.
That one's solid.
There's that one, and the whole volcano section, and the dungeon involved with that was so fun. I just remember having tons of fun with that one.
Yeah.
So here's where we shake it up a little bit. My number 8 is actually Twilight Princess. And
what?
Yeah, and I have to say this. I only played. This is actually one of the only Zelda games I never finished either. I missed this game on GameCube, so I actually got it on the Wii and really did not like the motion controls. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I got my Wii late, so I had to go back to play this game, and being that the motion control state was during Twilight Princess, I honestly think that if I went back and played it, the remaster, I'd probably have a little bit better opinion about it. But But yeah, no, this game is at my number 8 mainly for that reason. Because the motion controls for that game are atrocious.
They're not atrocious. It's basically an A button.
Yeah,
on the Wii, it's bad.
Well, I played the whole game on the Wii. All it is just. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing you have to like. It's not like Skyward Sword where you have to aim to do your slicing or whatnot.
Yeah.
And the enemies come at you, kind of like that Wii Sports Resort game with the guys with the sword.
Yeah.
It was basically that, the game.
Well, I think
so, Andrew, where...
What was that?
Oh, y'all are waiting for me now? Sorry. Andrew, where on your list does Twilight Princess fall?
Much higher than that.
What number?
I don't know. I have it at number 3. Now,
so
I have a lot
it at number 4.
I have a lot of nostalgia for Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess, he says, the first one you did not complete. It's the first one I beat. Played through completion. And then I went back and with my evolved Zelda brain was able to beat the older games.
Yeah.
But I really like the aesthetic, the story. Story is top notch, one of the best in the series. And yeah, I don't know. I really like how it played. It felt very meaty for a Zelda game. It was really long.
Yeah. And as much as I profess to love Skyward Sword's dungeons, Twilight Princess's dungeons are some of the best in the series. The Ice Mansion, the whole like Monkey Woods dungeon, the like Gears dungeon where you get the spinning top thing was so fun. The dungeon in the sky.
Oh yeah, that one.
There's just
that
so.
One was,
oh my gosh.
There were a lot
with the double hook shot.
Yeah, you get to be
good,
Spider-Man.
John. It's a good game.
Spider-Man Link. I don't think you can get better than that. Well,
so to split the difference here, we're going to put Twilight Princess at number 5. John, how's that for you?
I think John just needs to go play the remaster, and it'll go up to like 3 or 4. Wait. When Zelda 35, the whole anniversary comes out, and they port it, play it there on the Switch.
Yeah.
Please.
I really think
I need a reason to play that game again for sure.
I need to play the remake. I have it, and it's one of those where I left mine sealed, and I really just don't want to break that guy open. I might be buying a digital copy of it when it goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, give us your number 7.
This one might be controversial too. My number 7 is Majora's Mask. Now, again, I think Majora's Mask is a great game. I did not get to play this one all that much. I did not own this one. And I really hope that this ends up on the Switch somehow, because I want to go back and give it more attention and love. But the bit that I did play, it really shakes up the formula, which I think is cool. And it's dark. It's definitely deals with some darker themes, which at the time was kind of creepy, but I think I would like it more now because this came out.
I don't know if you listened, Andrew. I don't know if you listened to episode 5, but you are talking to a Majora's Mask aficionado here in John Cummins, who has 99%ed Majora's Mask.
Yes, I do recall you're trying to figure out that last little bit. And I'm like, this would so be me. Because that's the thing, like, Majora's Mask is like a weird one in the series where it's kind of collect-a-thon-y.
Right.
Which is, you don't really have that in the rest of the series.
Not to that extent, no.
Not like
There's usually some kind of collecting, like the Scalulas in Ocarina of Time, and there's some other things.
Korok seeds.
Oh, geez, yeah. So, Where did you have Majora's
Waker
Mask
too.
at, Dan?
I had it at
So,
7.
no, wait, hold on.
Mine was at my number was 7 too. I also had it at 7. So far,
So I hacked.
Andrew and I are
hacked
right
Dan's
on.
computer and just used his list.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just kidding.
Shoot. All right,
So
John,
I
where
had-
is Majora's Mask on yours? Number 1.
I had it at number 3 on my list.
Okay.
Oh, so he flopped the Twilight Princess Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
this
I
is
just
where we're gonna have
We'll
to
get back on
decide-
track. We'll get back on track. Everybody's gonna have the same number 6. Probably not. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe. We're gonna have to decide where Majora's Mask should fall, whether it's gonna go above or below Twilight Princess. So it's either gonna be a 4 or a 6 at this point.
I definitely think it should go below, but that's because I have a lot of love for Twilight Princess. I definitely have got the nostalgia blinders on for that.
John, 4 or 6 for Majora's Mask.
I'll do 6. I won't argue it too much. It's an obscure.
You're gonna concede Majora's Mask? All right, you're being a nice guy tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there's probably a lot more people that played Twilight Princess than there was Majora's Mask.
If you look at like the critical
Yeah.
reviews, Majora's Mask I think falls in like 5th or 6th out of the series.
Really?
And that's like Metacritic, which
Yeah.
who knows? I think that's all. Bogus,
What else?
so.
I mean, what else are you gonna look at for that?
Yeah.
Even?
For that time period, you might
All right,
be able
Andrew,
to catch
what-
IGN or something.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, what is your number 6?
My number 6 is A Link to the Past. I think A Link to the Past is a great game and started a lot of the tropes for the series. But I think there are 5 Zelda games that are better. That's really all I got.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah.
you, Dan, number 6.
So my number 6 is the original Legend of Zelda for NES, and I have a Link to the Past confession for this episode, which is that I have never played it for longer than 5 minutes ever in my life.
So that should have been your number 8.
Well, I didn't even include it on the list. I was like, wherever you guys want to put it is fine, because I have no bearing on how good this game is. I'm sure it's great.
How did
But
you
I
have
just-
9 games? How did you have like a top 9 without that game in it? Is it just kind of floating?
We're working on the show's top 9, and I'm conceding my placement for A Link to the Past.
Gotcha.
Where did you put A Link to the Past, John?
Number 6. I also had number 6 on this.
All right. Well, I guess Link to the Past is number 6.
This game got a number 6 for me because at the time I did enjoy it, but I didn't realize how much better it can be until I played A Link Between Worlds, and that game is just like, I don't know, that was one that I couldn't put down when it came out. They just improved so many things on that formula.
Yeah, it's one I haven't given enough time to. I did not have it on the Super Nintendo. Grew up with a Super Nintendo, and I did not have this game. I'm blown away. I don't know what my parents were thinking. Why didn't we buy that? But going back and playing the little bits I have, it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
All right. So I'm switching Majora's Mask to 7 and Link to the Past to 6.
Man, just bump
Or
it down there.
should Link to the Past? Well, no, John, you're.
Well,
okay,
why don't we
let's do
bump?
this
Why
for
don't we
John.
bump? Why don't we bump the other 2 up one? Do Majora's
That's what I was
Mask
gonna-
6, Twilight
Okay, we'll do
Princess
that.
5.
We'll do that.
Yeah, just flip flop Link to the Past and Majora's Mask.
All right, we got
I don't
this.
know.
I am making the adjustment. And
I wish we
all
had
right,
like
Andrew,
I
tell
wish
us
we had like
your.
a live rack and stack.
I know. I can tell you guys where the standing is right now. We're about halfway. At number 9 is Zelda 2. Number 8 is Skyward Sword. Number 7 is Link to the Past. Number 6 is Majora's Mask. And number 5 is Twilight Princess. So we're getting into the cream of the crop here for Zelda games now.
Yeah, so I guess
And
my number 5. This one you've already filled the spot, but my number 5 was The Legend of Zelda, the original, the first game. Which I don't know if I've played to completion. I played a lot of it, especially now that it's out on the Switch online. A lot of fun. It makes me feel like, well, Breath of the Wild took that formula and expanded it, and I just love the game for that because of the new things it tried. I mean, it's the first in the series. It's weird how it evolved into this very linear adventure from what it started as.
Yeah, very much.
I like the linear
it's
Zelda
almost
game.
like story was added to kind of give context to everything, because if you didn't read the manual, you had no idea what was going on in the original Legend of Zelda. And again, Andrew, we have the same ranking for that game, so that's funny.
I thought that my list would be very more unique, but I guess not. I guess it's just universal. This is the list.
Yeah.
Well, if two random people
John, where
on
is
the
Legend
internet
of Zelda?
have the same list, it must be everybody else has that list.
Right? Exactly.
So I
John,
actually
where's
have
Legend of Zelda for you?
number 4. So I actually have Wind Waker at number 5 and Legend of Zelda just right above it.
Okay.
I feel like Legend of Zelda
we're at number
was the more iconic game in my eyes. Wind Waker was a good game, but at the time that I played it, wasn't getting very good critical reception. And I enjoyed it, but it also wasn't my first Zelda game like a lot of people that really tout Wind Waker as their favorite.
Wind Waker, I wasn't sure between those two. I flip-flopped between 4 and 5 for Wind Waker and Legend of Zelda. I had to put it up there because my co-host over on Nintendo Pals would be very upset if I didn't put it at number 1, so I boosted it a little bit for him. Wind Waker, for a lot of people, I know that when it first came out, critical reception, meh. People are like, graphics are for babies. But Wind Waker has aged so well. I think grew more popular the longer it was out, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and it really benefited from the console generation that it did come out on. I mean, those 3 consoles in that generation are kind of the base for the consoles that we have today. There's not a whole lot of changes from that format. GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox kind of paved the way for what we have as far as 3D graphics go today. Pretty much any game that's on those consoles could be remade and look fantastic. Like, basically keep everything the same, true. Just remake, up-res the graphics, make them a little smoother, and you pretty much, they maintain and they hold. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a benefit.
So Wind Waker, what number is Wind Waker for you, John?
It was number 5 for me. So I could definitely
and 4
see
for
it.
You, Andrew?
Yeah, I put it at 4. A Wind Waker is one that I have not played at all. First off, I'm going to throw that in there. But I know its plot and premise and have watched it play. I missed out on the GameCube generation, so I missed out on a lot of awesome games on the GameCube.
Ooh. Yeah, dude.
Do you have a
need
Wii
to
U?
get in on that. So I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave that one be for now, because here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Wind Waker is my number 1.
Ooh.
I am a Wind Waker apologist. I loved Wind Waker from day 1 on the GameCube, and everybody said, "Oh, it looks dumb." I'm like, "You look dumb. Wind Waker looks awesome. You can sail around on a big open ocean and go wherever the hell you want on your lion boat, and you can control the wind, and it has Dragon Roost Island, and it has
the boat's name is apparently Bodie McBoatface. Also, we found that out.
That's the boat's name,
last
Bodie
week,
McBoatface. Okay, when you hit the open ocean in Wind Waker and the music comes in, there is no other feeling in a game like that. There is no other game that does that feeling. You're on the boat, music is playing, it's a beautiful day, the seagulls start following you. It's an experience. This game is an experience, and the reason why it was critically pooped on is because when the GameCube launched, they had this like little trailer of a fake Zelda game that looked all realistic, and everyone pissed their pants when it looked like Wind Waker. So I'm sorry, it's a playable cartoon, and it's amazing. So Wind Waker's number 1.
I have to throw in.
It's probably not going to be number 1 for the purposes of this show, but it's my number 1.
It's a good game. I also have to give a little bit of backing when I say I have not played Wind Waker. I played both of the sequels that were on the handheld console to completion, all the way through. Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass.
Yep.
And
loved
Tracks. Them. And so I felt like I need to play Wind Waker again. Zelda 35 anniversary. Nintendo, if you're listening, hey, all of these can just be it's on the Wii U, just port it. You ported everything else.
Come on.
Bring it over.
Let's do.
Bring it to Switch.
All right.
It's coming. It has to at some point.
I mean,
Twilight Princess
next year
and
every
this
Zelda
game.
game's going to be on the Switch, and I'm going to be I'm just going to you won't see me anymore. I'll just be in my room playing that.
So we're down to the last 2, and we know what it's going to be on everyone's list, except for Dan, who had Wind Waker at number 1, which means that his 2 and 3 are going to be what our 1 and 2 were.
So what is your number 2, Andrew?
My number 2 is Breath of the Wild.
We almost have the same list.
Breath of the Wild at number 2. It is very, very close to my number 1. I think if it had just an oomph more of story, it would have knocked my number 1 off the track. And I think the sequel is going to do that. So I'm very hopeful for the sequel based off of the one snippet trailer they've shown. That a more story-based with the Breath of the Wild mechanics, and then they win. That's it. Game over.
They definitely went with a way different direction on the trailer than they did with the Breath of the Wild trailer. I mean, whenever they showed that game off, they wanted to just say, hey, look at this big world we've created. And then whenever you get the second game trailer, there's that, they don't even show you the world. They show you a cutscene, basically, which is something totally different.
Breath of the Wild was the perfect game to launch the Switch. It like embodied what the Switch stood for. It's like, oh, now you can take your home console and you could go anywhere. You're free. You are free to take your games with you now. And here's a game where you're free to do almost anything at any point in the game. It was so perfect. It was such a perfect match, and everybody was obsessed with it at the same time. And it was such a beautiful moment in time. It was, I mean, it was almost like when Pokemon Go launched, and it was like what everybody was doing. And if you saw somebody outside on their phone, you knew exactly what they were doing on their phone. It's like that. Like if you saw somebody with a Switch, you'd be like, "Oh, Breath of the Wild? Yeah, where are you? I'm over here. Awesome!" And you could like have a conversation about it because and we all knew what we were talking about because it was just such an experience. It's the same experience that I had when I played Wind Waker for the first time, where you're like, "Oh my god, I'm on this open ocean. It's beautiful and the day." And it's that same kind of thing, except with Breath of the Wild, it is just untamed. That game, the best way to describe that game is untamed. It is relentless, and you can go in a direction and just die instantly, or you can go in this direction and find a beautiful treasure chest with stuff in it, or a dragon, or this or that, or a whole village that you're not supposed to see yet. It's a masterclass in where it is not a masterclass. It's where I hope Zelda goes from now on. They needed a reinvention, and they did it in the most perfect way, I think.
I heartily agree. game mechanics, it's dang near perfect. Like it's so well done. It's so fun. Every bit of it's fun. You can play stealthy. You can play. I'm freaking Mega Man. Run in there and just charge and beat up everything. There are outworld enemies that are harder than the main boss of the game.
Yes. What the heck?
and they're just roaming around, and like I don't know. There's just a couple small things that would make it the perfect game to me, and one of those is like a little bit more of a solid story, because this game was definitely focused on the game mechanics. Story took a backseat to that, and I think it worked well for what it did, but but it was missing, and you felt that. And then maybe some bigger dungeons. There were a ton of dungeons to do, and tons of puzzles. But nothing that really got, like, you didn't have to fully pull away from these big, cool pirate ship dungeons with like time gears moving and stuff. There's some cool stuff that you could still do within that.
I think that they definitely were trying something brand new with this whole new experience they were building. And they did a pretty good job of giving you a complete dungeon with Hyrule Castle. But even that was a little fragmented. But even that was a little fragmented because you could come and go as you please. There wasn't like, you're locked in now.
Yeah.
Finish the dungeon.
Well,
I will also say that Master Mode totally changes how you play that game, and I loved it.
Yeah, I beat it on Master Mode. I love Master Mode. And they added DLC, which I really enjoyed the DLC part.
Big time.
The story and extra stuff. That was really good.
Yep.
All right. Well, Andrew, it appears that Ocarina of Time is your number one.
Ocarina of Time is my number one. Now, Ocarina of Time is I don't know what I can say about it, because I'll be honest, I had this game on the N64 and I did not beat it until I was like years. It was years after owning the game. I got stuck at Jabu Jabu. I could not get into. I could not figure out how you get into the dungeon. And this is pre-internet. You can't look it up and be like, "Oh, where do I go?" And I didn't have a guide. I didn't think to buy a guide and look for answers or ask someone for help. You know, I don't know what I was thinking exactly, but I could not figure it out. I did everything you can possibly do as young Link. I played so much of that game all pre Jabu Jabu. So I actually didn't beat it until I got it on 3DS. And it's just so great. Everything about that game is so good. They did a great job with the dungeons. Hyrule Field is a big open exploring area. And the story. The story is so well done. I mean, a lot of spoilers, I guess, but finding out
we could say spoilers.
Yeah, finding out that Zelda was Sheik. The really emotional part of the end game where you're sent back to your timeline and all of the stuff you did never happened. It's just like everything just really hit me emotionally in a way that I was like, this is just a masterpiece of storytelling. Because the mechanics are also really fun, really well done. And so, yeah, I'm just so excited for the future of the series, because if you take Ocarina of Time and cram how awesome Breath of the Wild is and merge those worlds, you've got it. You've got a winner. You've got a 200 plus hours of my life dedicated to your game.
Right? Easy. Yeah. John, Ocarina of Time, what do you think?
So here's where I swap those two. And I will say Ocarina of Time is a fantastic game, and I did play quite a bit of it growing up when it first released. I didn't beat it until way later, because I didn't own my own copy until a lot later. I played a friend's, or I would rent it, and got bits and pieces here and there. But it would have been my number one for a long time. And when Breath of the Wild came out, and for the first couple of years after playing it, I kept having this feeling. I'm like, man, I can't make this my number one. I haven't had enough time to let it like sink in yet. And almost 4 years now. We're closing in on 4 years in like 4 months. And I do have to say that I think I enjoyed Breath of the Wild more than I did Ocarina of Time. I put 200 plus hours into Breath of the Wild. It definitely was exactly what they wanted it to do. It was a re-envision of the original game. They sat down, they created all the mechanics, and then they said, what can we do with this now? And they developed everything afterwards, which is exactly what they did in the original game. You have Miyamoto, who said, okay, well, I want to make a game that reminds me of what I did as a child, where I went and played in the woods and would find these caves and explore as a child. And I want to, I had so much fun. I want to bring this to life as a game and let everyone else experience it. And Breath of the Wild does that exact same thing. You start out, you're in a cave, you crawl out, and you can literally go anywhere. And as much as I like Ocarina of Time, it's very constrained a lot of times. There are a lot of times, like you said, Andrew, you get stuck because there's this one little thing that you have to do, and if you don't do that, you're stuck for months as a kid because you can't figure it out. I also struggled with Jabu Jabu the first time I played it. It wasn't getting in. It was once I got in, there was a certain spot where like the insides of the great fish looked the same in a lot of areas. So I couldn't figure out how to get where I needed to go, and I got stuck in there for a long time. Whereas Breath of the Wild, you can't get stuck. You get to a spot, a stopping point in one direction where you can't get past something. You turn around, you go the other direction, and you take it to as far as you can until you get stuck.
That's so true. I've never really thought about that, but yeah, there's no way to get stuck in Breath of the Wild ever.
No, there's 360 degrees of directions you can go and just find a new path. And eventually, you don't even have to go to any player can play the dungeons in any order they want. You can literally go to the last boss and fight him as soon as you start the game. So it just, to me, that kind of trumps in my mind what Ocarina of Time built. And Ocarina of Time is a fantastic game. It's my number two. And like I said, until Breath of the Wild, till I had the real amount of time to sit and think about it and stew on it, it really broadened my thoughts on the game, because I was enamored by the game. I played for hundreds of hours and I was in love with it too. So it kind of took being out of it for an amount of time to really appreciate what was there while I was, after I played it, if that makes sense.
So here's what I want to do, because all three of us have a different number one.
We rock, paper, scissors.
No, I've got Wind Waker, and Andrew has Ocarina of Time, and John has Breath of the Wild. So you have 1 minute to sell to the other two why your game should be the top of our list for the ranking. And since I just popped this on you, I will go first. Okay, and we're gonna do roughly a minute. All right, so just make it brief, like a couple sentences about why Wind Waker should be our number one. And here's the thing about Wind Waker. It's the underdog, right? Nobody's going to choose Wind Waker as number one on any ranking list because there's so many great games. But what Wind Waker did for the series is that it was the first time that Link was an expressive character that you empathized with and cared about and could watch go through these things. It was the first time that this character wasn't some special fairy boy. He was a nobody on an island who happened to fall into this story, right? So it's much more relatable than any other Zelda games. It was the first real open world Zelda game that we had. And if it wasn't for Wind Waker, a lot of the art style and the direction that Zelda went after that wouldn't have happened. It didn't have as much innovation as Ocarina of Time, going from 2D to 3D. And it certainly wasn't as open as Breath of the Wild. But I think what it does is it takes the best of both of those games and meshes it so well together that you cannot deny Wind Waker's place as supreme in the Zelda ranking list. Thank you for your time. Who wants to go next? Thank you.
I'll let Andrew go if he wants to, or I can go. It doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Ocarina of Time has characters that are so iconic and so memorable that I can still like vividly remember cutscenes from that game. That when Sheik first reveals that she is Zelda and is instantly captured, and then you have to charge to the castle. You've used all your stuff you've used all the stuff you've collected. You've collected all these different things from dungeons. Link lifts a giant pillar with his bare hands and throws it out of the way, and then charges into the castle. And the main villain of this game is playing the organ and explaining his evil plot. And it's so iconic. You just hear the dun,
it's so good.
Dun, 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 dun. They had to call back to it in Breath of the Wild. They had to.
They did.
But they couldn't because they didn't have Ganondorf. And there's case in point, Ganondorf. No, I'm just kidding. But the whole ending sequence of that game like just blew my mind. I was like, you have this like epic battle, and you find out you have a piece of the Triforce, he's got a piece of the Triforce, you guys got to duke it out. You're like, okay, well, I guess we're fighting. You fight, you defeat him, and the whole tower starts to explode. And you have to escape, get down to the bottom of the tower. And there he is again, but in his true scary form from all the other games where he's a giant pig monster. And when you defeat him and save the world, Zelda like is apologetic for all she's put you through, and to reverse everything, she uses her magic, plays the Ocarina of Time, and sends you back to before any of that happened, and you prevent it all from happening, leading to a perfect sequel, Majora's Mask. Well, it's a great follow-on to that game. So if I forgot to mention this, though. So that's my pitch. Thank you.
Okay. Pitch over. Thank you.
I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Breath of the Wild. And this is why Breath of the Wild 2 is seriously probably going to just obliterate this list and be the number one. We don't have Ganondorf. Ganon is like not... Calamity Ganon is not a great villain. He's just like a big blob that you fight in different shapes at the end of each dungeon. Yeah.
He's an essence, yeah.
Like I said before, Lionels are scarier than Ganon. Like straight up Lionels, and more fun to fight, personally. But I do like what they did with Calamity Ganon, but I really wish that it had all tied together to become Ganondorf, which it's going to. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great game.
I hope you're not disappointed.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Nintendo John, knew what they had on their hands when they started this whole thing. I'm not going to go into super great detail because I kind of did what you asked before you asked. Breath of the Wild was, just a one-of-a-kind adventure. There was just something about the non-linearity of the game that really drove home that anyone can play this game, and it's really all based on the skills that you develop. You didn't have to, it broke all the original things that past Zelda games had created as the tropes, as Andrew said. I don't have to go to a dungeon. I don't have to have a particular item to progress. There's just a certain freedom. I mean, you get a paraglider and you just start flying around everywhere. The physics of the game, you literally just ride on anything. You figure out a way to move it, and I mean, Link basically has the Force. He gets all these magic abilities that you don't have in the other games. I don't need a hook shot. I'm going to ride this boulder over across the gap that I need to get across, or create ice blocks out of the water to get over there. There was just so many. There hasn't been a Zelda game that has as many original ideas put all into one thing at one time. Even Wind Waker has a lot of the same ideas that Ocarina of Time had before it, and Ocarina of Time got a lot of its ideas and its structure based on A Link to the Past. So really, A Link to the Past is a very, if anything, it's where a lot of these original ideas came from. So I think Breath of the Wild just takes those and smashes them. It says, okay, we're going to go in a new direction, and I really like the new direction that we're going with Breath of the Wild. Like I said, just the paraglider, man. You can go anywhere. Just catch a wind gust and take off somewhere. Yeah. How many of you guys tried to fly over to the I can't remember the name of the island. The island where they strip everything
Eventide?
from you. Yeah, Eventide.
Yep.
You first see that island. I was like, I'm going to get to the highest point on the map that I could find that's, somewhat proximity. And I'm going to try to see if I can concoct enough things to keep adding to my stamina as I'm floating across the sky. And I actually hang glided from a point on the map all the way over that island. I just kept eating stuff and getting my stamina back. Next thing I know, I'm landing on that island. Can't do that in any other Zelda
And
games.
you regretted it.
Yeah. As soon as you get there and they're like, we're taking all your stuff. It's like, dang it, what island did I go to?
I figured out that you can just drop everything and then pick it all back up.
Can you?
Yep. The game doesn't clear
All right,
it.
well, okay.
So,
let's do this.
I cheesed it.
So
Nice.
who is willing to concede their number one spot for the sake of this list?
That's a hard ask. This is a great game.
I'm gonna concede Wind Waker to number 3. I just am used to that at this point.
You're the bigger man, Dan.
I'm the bigger man. We'll say that.
Well, since you conceded, we'll let you be the deciding vote on which one moves.
Yeah,
from
I think
1 to 2.
I think that these are both equally number ones personally. Like I do really like both of these games. Breath of the Wild is so good. I keep saying, this next game they make, it's gonna take it. Like it has to. I mean, they're making the same engine.
Right, it has to. Yeah. On my personal list, Breath of the Wild is actually higher than Ocarina of Time. So I'm sorry, Andrew. We're going to do Breath of the Wild at number 1.
I think it's fair. Breath of the Wild's a great game. It's so good.
And Ocarina of Time at number 2.
Ocarina of Time's been dethroned.
They have so much in common. Yeah, they have so much in common for what they have that's different. They both kind of reinvented Zelda as we knew it.
What's crazy is that Ocarina of Time is competing, like on this list, it's competing with number 1, and it has 3-4 games between it.
Right.
I mean, Wind Waker, for Dan, Wind Waker's above it, but like that, it holds its ground still 20 plus years later. Mm-hmm. Just man, that's good.
Mind blowing.
I mean, just a quick thought. I mean, would you rank Super Mario 64 over Odyssey? What's number?
No, I'd put Odyssey.
No, we're not doing that right now.
I'd put.
I
Odyssey
didn't want to have that conversation right now.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I appreciate Ocarina of Time for what it did. It was the first 3D Zelda, and it's a great game, and it did a lot of things to improve the formula and the quality of life to Zelda. But at the end of the day, Breath of the Wild is just become something totally different. It's transformed. And to me, that I feel the same way. Odyssey is just, you know, it's taken everything that Mario 64 did and then multiplied it by 100, and it's just a natural progression.
It's ironic,
of things.
really. Yeah, totally. It's ironic, really, that the number one game on our retro podcast for Zelda is the most recent Zelda game, but I'll let that slide. So here's the official list. Here's the RetroLogic's Legend of Zelda tier list. We've got Breath of the Wild at number 1, Ocarina of Time at number 2, Wind Waker at number 3, Original Legend of Zelda for NES on number 4, Twilight Princess at number 5, Majora's Mask at number 6, A Link to the Past at number 7, Skyward Sword 8, and Zelda 2 at number 9. Whew.
Man,
It's a good solid list.
I need a drink.
These are some of the greatest games ever made, man. Like, all 9 of these games are fantastic games. All of them. Like, there's not one that I'd be like, oh, I don't recommend playing that one. Maybe Zelda 2, because, but I still would recommend it because of
Yeah, it's definitely a harder pill to swallow when if you didn't have time with it early on. You know, it's definitely the most difficult one to just jump right into.
There are some people who love it too. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they just swear by it. If
they
you're
probably
nostalgic
played it
for
when it's
then
brand
that'll
new.
do it.
Yep.
Oh, we have been podcasting for 1 hour and 15 minutes. This is easily our longest episode, but it is packed. It is packed of stuff. And I just want to thank Andrew from the Nintendo Pals podcast for joining us today, and John, as always, for jumping on, and you, listener, for listening to the Retro Logic podcast, the official podcast of Block Fort Retro. If you like what you hear, you can follow me at Block Fort Retro. And I post stuff about the show all the time. I'll post giveaways from the store, all that stuff. We're also on YouTube and Twitch doing streams and stuff under the same name. You can give us a shout out, send us a pic of your collection. We would love to hear from you. And from all of us here at RetroLogic, from Andrew, from John. Andrew, any last words before we close out?
Yeah, you guys can hit us up, hit me up over on at Nintendo Pals Podcast. On Twitter, also on Instagram, Facebook, all those spots. Listen, give our podcast a listen. You guys have already shouted us out twice, so these guys are awesome.
Ask you where people can find you,
don't come over and subscribe to me until you subscribe to these guys. Make sure that you've subscribed to these guys 110%, because these guys are awesome. Yeah. I'm so grateful that you guys had me on, because this has been a blast.
This was super fun. We'll do it again sometime.
Yes, anytime.
For sure.
Okay. We will see you guys on the next one.
Bye now.
Oi.